Good afternoon. Let me start the class. Okay, now today we will start the like topic as an oops. I think uh, all of you know about the oops concept, but we will discuss. Like, okay, this is a main advanced topic. Okay, but the oops is nothing but then it's majorly its concept on the objects itself, okay, which contain the data and the code. We will combine the data and our the programming code, okay, so that we call it as an object, okay. So Java is purely object oriented language, okay, except for the primitive types, except for primitive data types. But actually, OOPS programming is based on the concept of objects itself. OOPS is nothing but object-oriented programming, and the concepts, okay, are based on the objects itself. Objects are nothing but which contain the data fields and the code. The codes are nothing but the methods, okay, the data fields. Now, the core concepts of the like OOPS are one is class, one is object, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. Okay. Now let me share me the notepad. Now we are discussing about the OOPS, which are nothing but object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming. Now, object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is based on the concept of the objects which can contain, which majorly we perform the operations on with the data and the code. The data and the code both are nothing but the methods. So, how can the concept of objects, okay, concept of objects which can contain data and code. Contain code. Code can be known as methods. Okay. So data as a piece. Now Java is purely object oriented. This is the one major point here. Java is a purely object oriented language. Okay. Java is purely object oriented, and we have major concepts here. One is the class. Okay, we are creating the class daily, but we have a separate topic here. The class is nothing but it's a template for creating objects. To create then objects, like to combine the data and the code. Okay, this is in a blueprint. The class is a blueprint. It defines the properties and the behaviors. The properties are nothing but the variables. Okay, integer a equals to integer b equals to 20, and we declare the methods inside the class also. Okay, so it defines the properties and the behaviors the class defines. Okay, so properties are the variables and the behaviors are nothing but the methods. So by using that variables, we are creating different types of methods like addition or subtraction. So these are all the behaviors, right? So that's we are doing with the class. Now we have another one as an object. Okay, object is nothing but a real world entity created from the class. Whatever the class we are creating, okay, we will create that object of that particular class. Okay, and it has a state and the behavior. So next we have the encapsulation. We'll explain one at a time. Okay, so encapsulation, and we have inheritance. Okay, inheritance, and we have polymorphism, and we have abstraction. Okay, we have abstract, abstract. Okay, so we have the 6 topics in our books concept, which is nothing but the class, object, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. We will go with each and every one, and we will check with one example for each and every type. Now, see, we'll go with class. Okay, we'll go with the class. Here, the class is nothing but a blueprint. Okay, blueprint, the blueprint for creating the object. To create the objects, we use the class. It contains the fields and the functions. Fields and the functions are the variables and the methods, and we call it as a variables and the behaviors. Okay, it contains variables and methods. Okay, the class is basically blueprint of for creating the objects. Okay, and an object is an instance of a class. Each object has its own copy of instance variables and can access different methods. Okay, so okay, let me show you one example in here. Okay, let me create one new class in this. Okay, and I'm creating one class C, and I'm saying as a student, I'm giving one class and I'm taking that class public static void main. Okay, now this class is a okay. I'm sharing this. No, I think sorry. I think till now I didn't share the notepad also, and sorry for that. Okay, so this is uh, oops, object-oriented programming and the concept of object, which contains data and the code. Okay, and Java is purely object-oriented language, and we have class, object, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstractions in our OOPS concept. Okay, now the class is nothing but the class is a blueprint for creating the objects. Okay, and it contains the variables and the methods, and we can call the variables as a fields, and we can call the methods as a behaviors, or we can call it as a functions. Okay, and whatever the object we are creating with from the class is an instance of the class. Okay, and each object has its own copy of instance. Okay, like a copy of instant variables, or you can access the different methods. Okay, and let me show you one example here. See, I had taken one class as a student, and this is our one method. Okay, this is my main method, and let me create one. Let me assign some classes here. Sorry, some variables, string as a name. Okay, string name and integer age. Okay, integer age, these are the variables. Now this, and let me create one method. Okay, you know how to create the method, right? Display, this is with no parameters. Okay, no returning, just printing. I am just printing here system dot out dot print, sorry, system dot out dot print ln of name. I'm just concatenating that name, whatever the name he has created. I'm just showing you what is actually the class. The class is nothing but the blueprint for the objects. and that object is an instance of a class age. Okay, now we created a method also. Okay, now we created a method. Now see here, let me create one class here itself, and again I will create the public class, and this is a main method. Okay, this is a main method. Now I created, so this has to be main. Let me change this to factor name as main finish. So see, let me do this. Yeah. Let factor that into the back to the student. Okay. Expect. Yeah. Okay, now main. Now what I need to do, I need to, okay, 1 second, let me delete this and do once more. This is somewhat, we create one class as a main. Okay, now inside this main, I will write a main method, public static void main of string and args. Okay, inside this class, I'm just creating one class out of this class as a student. Okay, as a student. Now, inside this class, I'm taking the variable string name and integer age as a variables, and I'm creating one method to display the names and the age. To display system dot out dot println of, and to represent the name as a here, and system dot out dot println of age. Okay, now see here we have the one class. Okay, the class is which lies uh, the blueprint. Okay, the class is a blueprint for creating the objects. Blueprint for creating the objects, which nothing but it will contain the variables. Okay, which contain the fields, and it will contain the behavior of that fields, like we are manipulating with that data. Okay, we are manipulating with that data. Now here we created the student class. Okay, now I want to create the object of that class. If I need to create the object of the class, what I need to do, I need to take the class name. Okay, and the variable object name as h1. Okay, with a new keyword and the class name, you can create the object of the class. So now once you created the object of the class, so now s1 is the object of that particular class, of this particular class. Okay, now we assign the values to the name and age. If I want to assign the values to the to that names, what I need to do, I can access with this object. Okay, I can access that object with this name, like s1. Sorry, s1 here, let me create here. So here we didn't given any name to that particular name or particular age. Okay, so here I want to give that name and the age to that. So for that, I am created the object of the class and I want to name that. So s1 dot, see it asks giving me the name and age here. Okay, name and age and the display method and the display method. So when I click on the name, so now I can assign the name here. So Radha. Now same as the name s1 dot age. Okay, so here I can give the age as integer, so 21. So now see, I change the name and the age. Okay, now given the two names, now I will call that method of that particular class. Okay, method of that particular class s1 dot display. Okay, s1 dot display. Now let me run this and see with run our application. See it giving me the name as a Radha and age as a 21. Name as a Radha and age as a 21. Name as a 21. So basically the class which holds all the variables and its methods, by creating the object of that class we can access its variables and the methods. Okay, variables and the methods. Now we'll go to the next one we have as encapsulation, or what we have written here. Okay, we have the object, right? So okay, the class and object we have discussed here itself, right? Class is a big prayer, object is a real thing. Yeah, yeah. Let me do one more example in the class and object here itself. Okay, let me create one package, separate package itself, so that you can get to know package as boot basics. Okay, finish. So this oops basic, let me create one class, and that class has main class, public static void main, finish. Okay, now before this, okay, before this, let me create one class. Okay, let me create a one class example. Class is what it's actually blueprint. Okay, blueprint means if you imagine, if you have a car. Okay, imagine if you have the car, and the what are the fields of that car, the fields of the car, like what is a brand of that car, what is the speed of the car, uh, whatever the labels. Okay, whatever the fields are there, those we call it as variables. And what are the methods? Methods are nothing but driving that car. What are the actions we are doing with that car particular object? Okay, let me create the class here. Class car. Okay, inside the car I am creating the fields. Some has a brand. Okay, and let me take the speed also. Created two variables, and let me create the method also. Let me drive the car. Okay, just drive the car, and let me, when I call this method system dot out println of whatever the brand. Okay, brand is driving at, at some speed, right? So we need to give that speed here. Speed kilometer Okay, now this is a blueprint for any car. Okay, any car, we have the brand, it has a speed, and it has a method of drive. We any car can have this blueprint. Okay, whatever the brand. Okay, so we can give that brand name, we can use a basic blueprint. See, the Toyota or the Swift, whatever the company, Suzuki, BMW, so they use the same template, like they have the four wheels and the four doors. So that is a basic template. So the class is also like the basic template. Okay, the blueprint of those variables and the methods. Okay, so but when you want to use that template, you need to create an object. Okay, so here I want to create the object of the class. So how? With the class name my car equals to new keyword. Okay, so here the object is nothing but the my car. Okay, the object is a my car. So if you want to assign the values, if you want to assign the values, you need to use that object. Okay, we assign the values to that fields, and if you want to call that method, we can use it by using this method. We can assign the values and we can call the methods by using this object. So see, it asking me the brand, so I will give the brand. Okay, like Toyota, and my car dot, it asking me the speed, so I will give some 80. Okay, and I will call the method, whatever the method we have, my car dot drive. Now let me run this. So this is about the class and the objects. We can create the objects of that particular class. See, giving me the Toyota is driving at 80 kilometers per hour. Okay, this is basically a template, and we can use that template by creating the object of that particular class, and we can access, if we can assign the values of that fields and the methods. Okay, this is about class and the object. So next we have the topic we as encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation. Mm, Encapsulation is nothing but it hides the data and it's provide the control access. Okay, like a best example we can say it like a capsule, like a medicine. It hides the medicine inside. Okay, so whatever the data you want, that will be hides, and it will provided the control access. This theory I can say is the process of wrapping. Okay, wrapping data. Data are nothing but the variables, right? We store the data in the variables. Wrapping the process of wrapping data and the code. Like a code is nothing but the methods, like wrapping the data and the methods. Okay, into single unit, into single unit, and restricting restricting the direct access, restricting the direct access to some of the object, um, some of the object components, some of the object components. So it's like wrapping that entire variables or the methods of that particular class. Okay, so into some single unit, and we will restrict that by using that variables and the methods. We will allow some restrictions. Okay, to first some object components. Okay, the majorly the goal of this encapsulation is to hide the internet details, to hide any security details. Okay, for security from the outside access. So we hide the data behind, and we use uh, we can get the control access by using the getters and setters. Okay, in this encapsulation we use the getters and setter methods. Okay, and to prevent the, what we can say, yeah, to prevent the data from the misusing, okay, to prevent the misusing of this data, and by using the encapsulation we can improve our security level. So for for that we use this encapsulation concept. So we will wrap the internal details, okay, some sensitivity data, okay, we will bind that with the data and the method, okay, into some one class, okay, in a single unit. So we can restrict the direct access, so we can improve the security, okay. So like I given the example, right? It's like a tablet, like a capsule. So we don't see the whatever the chemical or whatever the drug is in that particular capsule. Okay, so we only use the capsule as a whole. Okay, like see, we use the capsule, but we don't know whatever the chemical, whatever the drug is placed in that capsule. Okay, we just directly take that capsule to our body. Okay, the inner substance which is in that tablet will be hidden. Okay, will be hidden and protected by the layer uh, of the tablet. So the same way here we will hide the data in the class, and outside world cannot access that. Okay, it's only by using the getters and setters we can get the access. Okay, now so you want to hide the data. So what is the data? Data is nothing but the variables. So you can declare that variables as a private. Okay, we have the access modifiers like public, private, protected. So you can you can declare that variables as a private, so they cannot access it directly. Okay, to access that methods, you can use the getters and setter methods to read or modify that particular variables. Okay, when you create the private variables, uh, let me write it here. Okay, you need to declare variables private. Okay, private. Uh, so they can't be accessed and be accessed directly. So you can't be directly access what are the variables that are used in that particular class. So by using the public getters and setter methods, you can read or modify them. So to use, we to need to use setter and getter methods. Okay, setter and getter methods to modify or to read. Okay, to read that particular variables or the particular methods. Okay, you can use the getter and setter methods. Getter and setter methods. Now we imagine like we will take one example. Okay, where security. Yeah, let me create one example here. See, let me create one class as okay, main only. I will create the main class itself. So, okay, I think we have. Yeah, I think we have the class here itself, right? The main class. Okay, so let me create another class as a bank account. New class. Okay, let me create the account as a bank account. This is a basic class. Okay, one class, public class bank account. Now I will create, okay, I will hide the some basic details of the one account holder or anything. So here I will create one variable as a private. Okay, as a private double. Okay, I'm using double as in a variable data type and the balance. Okay, I have initialize one variable which is nothing but a private variable. Okay, private variable. I will create one method as a public void deposit. If he want to deposit, okay, so how much amount he will deposit? Double amount. Okay, whatever the amount he will enter, it has to be greater than zero. I'm checking the condition here once if the amount is greater than zero or not. So whatever the balance is there, so we need to update it with the deposit amount. Okay, a balance plus or equals to, you know this, right? Add and assign, right? Okay, now this is one to set the values. Okay, to set the value, like to increment, we can say is as a setter. This is called as a setter method. Okay, if you want to set anything to that particular class by using this method, you can set it. And if you need to get anything, okay, and the getter method, the balance variable here, it is private, so it can access it directly. Like let me show you here. Getter, if you want to check the balance, okay, to check the balance, I need to create one method, right? Public DOU double get balance. Okay, get balance method. So when we call this getter method, so it has to return the whatever the balance is present, it has to return. So we will show it as a get return balance. Okay, now we will call this class. Okay, we will call this bank account. We will create the object of this class and we will call all this balance, and we will call this methods. Okay, setter and getter method. Okay, now let's go to the main and let me comment this out. Okay, now let me create the object of that particular class. We created the bank account, right? So a bank account ACC equals to new bank account. Okay, now we created the object of that particular class. Okay, we created object of this bank account. Okay, so now we have created the object of the class. By object of the class we can access, okay, access dot balance. Okay, here we have the get balance. What we account dot deposit method. Okay, we have the deposit method, and wait 1 second. See here we can't access the balance. See, previously when I created this car, when I created the object of that my car, and we can access the variables of that car. But in the case of the bank account, okay, in the case of the bank account, we cannot access that class variable. See, when I click account object dot, it not showing me any variable, because here in the encapsulation we use the, okay, we declare the variables as a private, so they cannot access them directly. Okay, to use that balances or anything, okay, if you want to read, you can use the getter and setter method. So you can call this getter setter method and the getter method only. So account dot, so I want to know what is a balance, okay, which is nothing but get balance. Get balance. Now see what so it will return some value, so we need to print it out. So I'm using system dot out dot print ln of, okay, print ln of acc dot get balance. Okay, whatever the balance it is there, it will show it to you. So I will take it as a string balance account dot balance. So let me run this once. Okay, run as Java application. See, it's showing me the balance as a 0, 0. Why? Because here in this we didn't have any balance. So first asking in the balance, we will deposit some amount. Okay, so here we have the deposit, right? to set the some values, deposit amount, and we need to send deposit some amount as a 2000. Okay, now let me save this and run this again. Run as Java application. See, the balance is updated. Balance is equal to 2000. So by this way, okay, the balance variable is private, so it cannot be accessed. So it cannot be accessed directly. So you need to use the deposits and the get balance. So what is the basic deposit and get balance methods? They are basically setters and the methods. So this is actually the encapsulation which protects the data, protect the data. Okay, same just like this, we can create one more program also, like student marks. Okay, by using setters and getter methods. Okay, you can store the student marks by like hiding the marks by using the private variable. You can create that one. Now see here, the private variables are important, so you need to use a private keyword to hide the data. What is the major concept of the encapsulation? Is nothing but to hide the sensitivity data or any data. Okay, the process of wrapping that variables, okay, and that methods into a single unit, okay, without direct accessing, that is known as an encapsulation. So we are using by the private variable, okay, private keyword, and by using getters and setters for that control access. To control that access, we are using the getters and setters. Okay, what we can say from this, this is secure and easy to maintain because we can't directly access that variables. So this is secure. I said right example, like a student marks. Okay, so should we can't allow any person to change your marks or anything. So in that case, you can use this encapsulation topic by creating the private variable of your marks. So by creating that variables, you you can't change that private fields, right? So that's this is about the encapsulations. Now I think we have time, right? Let me explain another one also. After the encapsulation, what we have the inheritance. Okay, so inheritance is like uh, legal. So I have one class. Okay, so I have one class. So inheriting that one class properties to another class. Okay, inheriting like one class inherits another class, just like see real time example. So whatever the parents, what our parents have got it in our their life, we inherit from them. Okay, like a child inherits whatever the traits there, so from our parents. So just like that, we from one class to another, we will use this properties. Okay, one class inherit another class, so this is known as an inheritance. Give one best example. Okay, so whatever the, see here we have one class, right? So when we inherit this particular class, we will inherit its properties and the all the behavior like fields and methods, okay, to the another class, to the another class. See we have what example? So we all have one basic vehicles. Okay, we will call the all the vehicles like whatever the type, the car or bike or anything that what which we need for the transport, we call it as a vehicle. Okay, so that vehicle class, the whatever the vehicle class, that class inherit the a car. Okay, a car will inherit the properties of the vehicle, whatever the properties are present in the vehicle, its behavior and everything. that will be inherited to the car, or that will be inherited to the one bike. Okay, so we have one group of animals. So in that animals group, that properties and the behaviors are inherit to one particular dog. Okay, one category of cats. Okay, so the inheriting the properties and the behaviors of the particular fields and methods of a particular class to another class, it is known as a inheritance. Is known as a inheritance. We have the some key terms in this topics. Okay, okay, I think let me explain these two topics like inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction in the next class. Okay, we'll take some time with this inheritance and polymorphism and abstraction. I will explain about these three topics in the Monday class. Okay, um, let me stop sharing. Just do some practice on the encapsulation and class and object creations, so you can try it with in the encapsulation I use the private variables, right? So just like that, you just keep working with the student marks. Okay, use the what we can say, uh, use the variable as a private, and give the option to set the marks if to update the marks. Okay, enter some marks and print it out that marks by using setter and getter methods. To set the values, we need to use the setter methods. To get the values, we need to get the we need to, basically we need to write the two methods which has to set the values and to get the values, to retrieve and to insert the values. Okay, so by that you can know how the encapsulation actually works. Okay, while doing that, if you have any doubts regarding anything, you can just ping me in the WhatsApp or anywhere by attending the class. You can just ping me in the class also. Okay, thank you for today's class.